My next recipe is an old classic roast chicken, but with a simple twist, it takes on a new life and is guaranteed to impress.
One of the things I love about cooking, and that keeps me excited after 25 years behind the stove, is that there's always something new to learn every day. New ingredients, new techniques, and new cuisines. Start off with the stuffing. It's amazing how exciting a stuffed roast chicken can be because it keeps the chicken incredibly moist and gives a delicious texture inside the bird. I'm going to start off with cured chorizo. This is a traditional Spanish sausage, and it's garlicky, spicy, incredibly meaty. That gives a little bit of sort of richness to the stuffing. Get that chorizo in. Start cooking that down and getting all those oils out. A little touch of olive oil in there to get it going. Right, onions. Chopped.
Add the onions to the chorizo, and in a matter of seconds, they'll change colour as they soak up all the flavour.
That lovely spiciness has been stolen from that sausage, and now the onions smell incredible. Garlic. Garlic in. Fresh thyme. Just hold it down and get your fingers on there. And it's a really nice way of taking off all those nice, fragrant little thyme flowers. You can hear it crackling in the background.
These are cannellini beans.
They're waxy, very soft, and so delicious, but very dense. But for stuffing, they're so robust. Nothing breaks down. Drain them off. In. They're going to take on all that juice as well from the chorizo. I'm going to season them now because they're very dense, so it needs some help. I mean, that looks like it's a dish on its own. Good enough to eat now. I want to sweeten things up a little bit. Tomatoes, half-dried. In. That sweetens up the stuffing. Beautiful. The stuffing's ready. Look at the colour of everything. It looks Spanish, it looks delicious. Now, stuffing the chicken. I like taking off these little knuckles. As the chicken cooks, the skin stretches over the bone. You can get a really nice drum. And take off those little wingtips as well. Salt, pepper. So important. Now, with your stuffing, I want to go right inside the chicken. Push it down. This really helps to cook the bird evenly because you're pushing out all the empty spaces in the carcass. And take a nice, large lemon. Push the lemon in, pick up the parson's nose, pull the skin over. Olive oil on top, salt and pepper, a teaspoon of paprika. Sprinkle it on, and then get your hands and sort of rub that in. You can see what the paprika's doing to the chicken. It's putting this like sweet, spicy marinade. It's not even roasted yet, but it looks delicious. 400 ml of white wine. Same quantity of water. That helps the chicken to steam. Chicken in.
Be generous with the thyme sprigs. Make sure the foil is folded tightly around the roasting tray so the chicken steams in the oven, keeping it moist and juicy.
Into the oven.
Cook for 1 hour at 180 degrees with the foil on.
Nice.
Take it out and remove the foil lid. Then give it another 30 minutes to crisp up that skin.
Look at that. It's so important to make sure you take that tinfoil off with half an hour to go. Beautiful. Pierce that open, squeeze it in, that delicious gravy. Mix that into the tray. And sieve that. That's a really nice, fragrant, lemony, spiced roasting juices to finish. Before we cut up the chicken, take out that amazing stuffing. Incredible. I'd have that with chicken over potatoes any day. And then just get your chicken roasting juices. Now, to cut the chicken up, hold the drum and slice straight through. And there's that wonderful drum and the thigh. Through the wishbone, off sliced with the point at an angle so you can see the texture of that amazing roast chicken. Just take my cooking juices. Just want to give a really nice sort of lemony flavour over my chicken. And there you go. A delicious, very charming, stuffed roast chicken.
My next recipe is easy and a pleasure to make if you're organised with everything ready in advance. Miso poached salmon with Asian vegetables.
Organisation is key in the kitchen. Take a couple of minutes before you start and set yourself up. Make sure you know where everything is, stock, spatula, pan, etc. It becomes less stressful, but more importantly, the end results are incredible. First off, get your pan on. Whisk and stock. Start off with this amazing fermented soybean puree. Into the pan, 3 nice tablespoons. Gas on. Now get your fish stock and whisk into the puree. Be generous with the stock. You want this nice, light broth, basically.
You can buy miso paste from big supermarkets and it works brilliantly with salmon.
Poaching the salmon in the miso stock gives it a really nice sort of sweet, earthy, creamy flavour. It's incredible. Bring it up to the boil. We're going to infuse the broth and make it a little bit more fragrant. Kaffir lime leaf is very lemony inside the miso broth.
Then chop chilli.
Chili's in.
And finely sliced ginger.
That's simmering beautifully. Now, we're going to poach the salmon. Poaching means cooking it in liquid, but it's cooked gently. And the secret here is to keep that salmon skin on. If we took the skin off now, the salmon can actually break up whilst it's poaching. Skin side, down. Just going to slide that in. Under. Nice. The minute that stock starts boiling, turn it down and let it simmer. Take a little ladle and just, every couple of minutes, pour over. That makes sure the top of the salmon is cooked evenly and keeps it nice and moist. And poaching is one of the most delicate ways of cooking, so you have to handle it with care. Whilst the salmon's poaching in the miso broth, start preparing your vegetables.
I'm using tender stem broccoli and pak choy.
I always like to cook the leaf and the stem separately. The leaf is like sort of spinach, and the stem is so much thicker. It's almost as thick as a stick of celery. So I like to get the stems sliced, just so I've got that nice sort of crispness. Place the leaves together nicely, roll them up nice and tight, and then slice them down. Now, my salmon, already the flavour in that broth has been elevated. Now it tastes really fishy. You've got the heat, the chilli, spiciness of the ginger, and the kaffir lime leaf. Take your fish slice and place it very gently underneath the salmon and push it down. Fish slices are flexible for that reason. Bend it, lift it up, just touch. You're looking for a springy, firm texture. And just sit that on top. A little touch of the broth over it. It stops it from drying out. Leave that to cool down for 2 minutes. Bring the stock back up to the boil. Broccoli in, pak choy, stems in. A little taste. It's getting better and better and better. Cook the broccoli and the pak choy stems for 1 minute and then add the tops in. Turn the salmon into your hand and just peel all that skin off. And the skin also helps to keep the salmon nice and moist.
Then gently flake the salmon.
That's the secret behind poaching. Everything just stays so moist. Wonderful long shards of pink. Now, just before we serve, we're going to add our mushrooms. These are enoki mushrooms.
You can buy these enoki mushrooms in big supermarkets and good grocers.
Slice them off. I'm going to put half in, and the other half I'm going to serve with the salmon. Toasted sesame seed oil. Put a little drip in there. Just rub. And you're just lining, almost like a little coat of varnish. Start off with your mushrooms, and then my salmon. 4 nice layers. And then finally, the mushrooms.
Top with the vegetables.
And then finally, a nice ladle. That beautiful, really sumptuous, rich stock. Lovely. And that is an amazing miso poached salmon soup.
Simplify your cooking by getting organised, and amazing food will be coming out of your kitchen every day. Whether it's breads, cakes, tarts, pies or pastries, baking is one of the most seductive skills in the kitchen. It fills the house with fantastic aromas and puts irresistible food on the table. Now, I'm going to put you on the road to baking nirvana, starting with an easy bread packed with big gutsy flavours, olive, tomato and rosemary focaccia.
I absolutely love baking bread. There's something really satisfying about doing it. And this focaccia recipe is very hands-on, but the end result is something really, really tasty. First off, start with the dough.
Tip 500 grams of strong bread flour into a mixing bowl and add 20 grams of semolina.
That gives the focaccia its sort of rustic charm. Now, there's one thing focaccia needs, it's really good seasoning. You can't season bread after it's baked, so it's got to go in right at the very beginning.
Sprinkle in 15 grams of dried yeast.
Take some warm water and then 50 mils of olive oil. Top up that water. That gives it its really nice, silky, rich texture. Make a little well. Mix up that yeast, water and oil in. Start off with the fingers. Keep the fingers nice and open. It's like a little sort of whisk going in there. I'm looking for a really nice sort of relaxed dough. Now, that's just starting to come together. Touch more water. With the oil in there, give it a little swirl. And in again. The secret is to sort of knead it gently. Don't overwork it. It's a sort of easy bread to make. A nice one to start off with when you're making bread for the first time. Basically, kneading means just knit it together. Just hanging. Lightly flour your board, and let's just knead that focaccia into a nice, smooth dough. Make sure you don't over-add too much flour, otherwise it sort of dries out the dough. Something quite magical about making bread. You can switch off and lose yourself. My first job for a 3 Michelin-star establishment was a baker. I was 22 years of age and I used to start at midnight. I was under such a tight schedule. 1 o'clock white bread done, 2 o'clock brown bread, 3 o'clock sourdough, 4 o'clock cheese bread, 5 o'clock prove, bake, 6 o'clock crack them open and taste. It was amazing. Beautiful. Look at that. Looks stunning. It hasn't even risen yet.
Leave your dough to rise in a warm place till it's doubled in size. We call this proving.
Look at that. Beautiful. A lot of chefs sort of knead it for the second time, but I'm looking for a really nice, light, aerated focaccia. Take a tray, touch of olive oil in there, season it at the bottom. Really important. That's the exciting thing about focaccia. You've got that really nice sort of salty top and salty bottom. And just with a touch of olive oil on your hands, gently push that in and almost massage it into the corners. It's possible to put sort of olives and tomatoes and garlic through the dough, but it never really allows the dough to sort of aerate properly when you put so much ingredients in. I'm going to stick mine on top. Use your finger and sort of just push them in. Salt on top and pepper on top as well. I want some nice, fresh, amazing rosemary. Just hold the stalk and just pull off and then just sprinkle down. Generous on the rosemary. Really important to have that nice fragrance on top of the focaccia. Finish it off before it goes in with a little drizzle of olive oil. So it almost sinks in those little pockets of flavour, olive, tomato, rosemary and olive oil into the oven.
Bake your focaccia at 200 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes.
Beautiful. Smells delicious. Beautiful. You can hear how crispy that is. You can't beat a nice, warm, fresh slice of home-cooked focaccia. It's rustic, charming, and it's the perfect way to start making homemade focaccia. It's so addictive.
Getting to grips with bacon is just a matter of confidence. Slow cooking is one of the best weapons in the chef's arsenal. Not only is it easy, it's also an incredible way to transform meat into mouth-wateringly melting dishes. Mastering the art of slow cooking is something every cook should learn. First up, my phenomenal slow-cooked beef short ribs. Slow cooking is a brilliant way of getting lots of extra depth and intensity into your dishes. The secret is to lock in all those flavors at the start and let the ingredients do their thing as it cooks. These are beef short ribs, and there's basically 5 to 6 bones across there. And as the short rib cooks, it sticks to that bone. The bone implants flavor, and the meat just sort of melts. Cooked slowly, gives it that nice level of intensity. Slice alongside the bone, straight down. You can see that marbling. That sort of disappears and disintegrates. I'm cooking them in a roasting tray. Get it on the heat until nice and hot. Season the beef short ribs beautifully. Olive oil in, bone on the top. We'll start colouring that in. Really important to give the beef short ribs a really nice sear. If you didn't brown the meat off, it goes in the oven and it looks like boiled meat. So you really want that nice, dark, rich colouring. Just cut the garlic in half, slide that down the side. That's going to give that beef an amazing flavour. To give body to the sauce, stir in a heaped teaspoon of tomato puree. I'm just hitting the bottom of the pan with that tomato puree. And we call it cooking out the tomato puree. Otherwise, it just goes in there raw, and it gives this sort of tartness to the braised short ribs. Red wine in. Don't use an expensive bottle of red wine. There's no need. Bring the wine up to the boil and reduce it. This burns off the alcohol and concentrates the flavour. It makes a big difference when you reduce the red wine down by half, because it gives that nice, dark, rich intensity. Look at my garlic. That is just going to sweeten everything up. Incredible. Stock in. Beef stock, perfect. Chicken stock, fine. Just to about an inch underneath the beef short ribs. Bring it up to the boil. To lock in all that flavour as the beef ribs slow cook, cover them so they braise from the bottom and steam from the top. Into the oven, 2.5 hours. 170 to 180 degrees. In she goes. The great thing about slow cooking is you do most of the work in advance and then put your feet up. 5 or 10 minutes before the beef short ribs come out of the oven, start your garnish. This is light, cured pancetta. I want nice, thick lardons, nice, big, thick sticks of crispy bacon. These are delicious chestnut mushrooms. I'm not going to slice them. I'm just going to cut them in half. But look at the colour on those lardons now. All the white, raw fat has disappeared. The lardons have shrunk right down. And all we've got there now is the proper bacon. Mushrooms in. Beautiful. So the mushrooms get seasoned from the bacon. I'm pan-frying these separately to the beef so they remain crisp and at a different texture. Leave that to cool down. Now, this is like Christmas Day for me. When you unwrap that foil, wait till you see what's underneath it. Wow. They smell incredible. Lift and place on your tray. Beautiful. To make a fantastic, rich, deep sauce, press the soft roasted garlic through a sieve into the cooking juices. Want all that nice, pureed garlic coming through there. Because that is going to make the most amazing flavour. Scrape all of that off the sieve. Nice. And then just start sieving all that lovely
braising liquor. Whoa. In. That smells delicious. Take your sauce and just glaze. Do them individually. They deserve that respect. Spoon on your bacon and your mushrooms. Beautiful. Be generous with these mushrooms. I'm telling you, they taste amazing. Flat leaf parsley. I want that freshness over those amazing ribs. Incredible. Never ever be embarrassed about going to your butcher and asking for cheap cuts, because the results are incredible. Amazing beef braised short ribs with bacon and mushrooms.